So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you're logged into your Gmail or Google account. You will see your logo right there. And then in order to access Google Sheets, you can either go to sheets.google.com, in which case it will bring you to this screen here, or you could select these Google Apps icon here, and you'll see that we have Sheets down here. If you access Sheets a lot, you may want to just shift it up so that the next time you click, you'll have access to it much further up. Now over here, you're going to see that there's a whole lot of templates. Go ahead and open up these two arrows by clicking it, and you're going to see that there's a whole plethora of really helpful templates that you could use. For instance, I use the invoice feature a lot, and I also use the purchase order template a lot. So let me show you. If you click it, it will simply import it into your Google Sheets, and from here you can just adjust all of these numbers and you can specify what the invoice is for and you fill it all out. And then if you go over here to file download, you can go ahead and download it in any which way you please. If you think that your client uses Microsoft Excel, you could download it as an Excel or a PDF. You can even make it a web page, which by the way, I'm going to share in the future that you can actually publish to web your Google Sheets. But let's get cracking on the basics of Google Sheets. So the first thing you're going to want to do is select a new spreadsheet. You can also go to sheet.new and it will open up a brand new spreadsheet for you. So over here it says untitled spreadsheet. Simply click on that and then you can name it whatever you please. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to go over my dream sponsors for 2025. And then over here, if you star it, what this does is if you ever go to Google Drive, you can navigate to the left-hand side, and if you select starred, you will actually see the file that you starred. It's basically just a shortcut to get to it in Google Drive. Please keep in mind that for every spreadsheet that you have, you can always add several sheets to your document. You can simply just click this plus icon and then you could view each sheet here. And as before, if you double click, you can just write what you want to title this. So I'm going to call it 2025 projections. Please remember that in a spreadsheet, these individual boxes, these are referred to as cells, and this is going to be your column going up and down, and your row goes left to right. So over here, you see that the headings for the columns, I made them company name, contact, sponsorship amount, and special notes. And as you can see, we definitely need to format this a little bit better because the company name is a lot longer than the contact. Sponsorship amount doesn't even show the full thing. And so there's a couple of ways to do it. So first things first, I can obviously make it bold or italic. And if you hover over anything in Google Sheets, it's going to show you the shortcut. So Control B is to make it bold. So if I select this and I make it bold, you see that it's bold, but I still can't see everything in it. Well, there's two ways to achieve us being able to see everything in it. We can bring our pointer over here and we could select and drag over until it fits, or a shortcut that I like to use is we just double click that, and what that's going to do is it's going to show the heading and not use up any extra area. So I'll go ahead and I'll do it for every single one. However, maybe you want each and every one of these sections to be the same in length. So what you can do is you could select this right here, and that's going to select all of the columns and the rows. This is obviously always the alphabet and this is always numerical. So what we can do here is if I resize this, you're going to see that each and every one of these columns is now the same exact width. And by the way, now is a good time to mention that if you want to select everything in column A, you simply click on the A and it will select it to infinity. The same goes for row. If you want to select a row, you simply click on the row and it will select it horizontally for infinity, left to right. Okay, so let's play with some formatting. I want to go ahead and I want to select the heading. So I clicked on 1 because that's where all my headings are. I'm going to make all of it bold. They even have a strike through option here, but I don't know why you would want to cross something out like that. Maybe if you're making a telephone marketing list and somebody rejected you, but you want to keep them on the list, you could strike through that. Now, text color, that's obvious. So we can play with text color. We can choose a groovy color right here. And now I want to talk about alignment. So you see how all of it is left aligned right here? What I want to do is I want to make everything centered. So what I do is I select that entire row 1, and then I click on center. And you see that now it's perfectly centered. Now, if I want to make the height of row 1 a little bit taller, what I can do is I can click between the 1 and 2, and I could drag that down. Now you see, no matter how much I drag down, the titles of this row are touching the bottom. This is because of the alignment setting right here where the arrow is pointing all the way to the bottom. If I want it centered, I would select everything in the row and I would make it middle centered. So here I went ahead and I filled in my first row. So the first company is Tesla, the contact Elon Musk, sponsorship amount 400K, and the special notes right here, I said Elon Musk can be really moody, don't crack too many jokes. You see how in wrapping, there's an arrow that goes past a line. So what this means is that if we keep typing, it's just going to ignore this next line, and it's basically going to take space in E and F columns right here. If that's not what I want, what I can do in text wrapping is I could select this wrap right here. Now what that does is it's going to make the next line drop to a new line. The problem with this is that if only in one cell you're listing a lot of extra stuff, this can look quite sloppy. So it depends on how you want your spreadsheet to look if you want it to wrap like this. The other option is it can just be like this, where if I want to read the full statement, I can simply click on the statement and it will show in the FX section right here. Or remember, I can double click this and then it's going to adjust and show me the entire statement, or I can obviously just drag it for a second. If I don't like it, I could hit this undo several times. And for me, if I know I'm going to have a section where I'm going to have long notes like that, or it's going to be really long, I just put it towards the end and I select text wrapping to go past this line that used to be a border for the cell. So what exactly is text rotation? Well, I could select this row right here, and if I click on text rotation, I can actually rotate the title that I've created for these columns. But the other thing I could do is I could actually specify exactly how many degrees I want it to be tilted. So if I do something like 15 degrees, and then I stretch it out, I actually don't mind the way that looks. I can also get even more interesting with it, and for the columns in between, I can make them -15. But honestly, I don't want to get too crazy with it for this example, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave it at 0. So the other cool thing I want to show you is that you can actually create borders. So for instance, if I select the headings here and I navigate to borders, I can see if I want inner borders, if I want horizontal borders, outer borders. I'm actually going to choose inner borders. And then I can even play with the color and the border style. So maybe I don't want it as thick, I want it kind of thin, and it comes out like that. The other cool thing is I can actually fill color over here. So if I select this, I want to show you what happens with just one cell. So for instance, I could select it like that. I can make the text white and you'll see that it really makes it stand out. So you can play with that aspect of it. The other cool thing is if you go ahead and select these 4 cells and then we click on fill color, aside from just choosing the different custom colors, we can actually have conditional formatting where we could specify like format these cells if it is not empty, if the text contains, and you can write a certain value or formula. So let's say contact. And if I do that, you see that only this cell went ahead and got colored. So if I X out of it, it's because we did that conditional formatting. The other cool thing here is if we scroll down, they actually have alternating colors. And over here, you can choose from different styles. And this can make it look quite nice. So for instance, if I select this style right here, what that's going to do is it's going to make the headings these color. And then the rest of the items are going to alternate white, beige, once I fill them in. So let me go ahead and actually fill in some more information. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll create filters and we'll do some smart fills. So now that I've filled in a bunch more data, I want to go over some more formatting. So maybe I want to select all of these cells so that I can go ahead and change the font. So what I could do is I could search for different fonts here. There's many Google fonts to choose from. We'll select Roboto. I'm also looking at this and I don't want there to be so much space in between. For instance, company name, I can go ahead and just double click between the A and the B column up above, and you'll see that'll make it very, very efficient for me to view. I could do the same thing for contact, I could do the same thing for sponsorship, and I could do the same thing for special notes. And when I double click, you'll notice it was actually the header that expanded because the header was smaller than all of the notes. So if I take a look at this, I left out a really, really crucial part, which is the date. So if I want to add the date that I received this sponsorship money, well, I want to have it in the beginning here, but I can't. There's company name. So what I can do is I could simply right click on the column, and then I can just select insert one column left. And you'll see that it already knows to format it a certain way. So if I go ahead and I label it date received for when I received this sponsorship money, I'm gonna go ahead now and fill in the dates. So now that I went ahead and I filled in all the dates, you see that I don't really like the format of this. I actually want it to show 2025. So what can I do? Well, if I click on the A column here, I can head on over to Format, I can hover over number, and I could choose date. Once I do that, you will see that now we see all of our dates exactly as I would like to. For the company name, I actually want it to be centered. So I'm going to go ahead and horizontal align. I'm going to give it a little bit more room. And I'm going to do the same thing for contact, where I will center align everything. For sponsorship money, you see how I put the figures in? Some have dollar signs, some don't. I want to select the column here, and then I'm going to navigate to format. I'm going to hover over number, and then I'm going to select accounting, and you will see that now it's looking a lot more organized, a lot nicer. Now, one thing I'm not really going to keep track of is the pennies here. So what I can do to get rid of these zeros and 0.20 after the decimal point is I can decrease the decimal spaces. So if I click that, you will see that now we got rid of the decimal places, and that you can access right here. Now, before we continue, I want to show you something. If you see that I scroll down here, I can't see the headers, but maybe I want to see them. Like when I'm looking at this data here, I would like to see exactly what the titles for the headers are. I can actually achieve that if I go over to View and then Freeze and select one row. It's going to go ahead and it's going to freeze this row right here. So if I were to scroll down, even though I'm seeing the cells towards the bottom of the worksheet, up here, I am still seeing the titles for the columns. This can be really, really helpful, especially if you have many columns and you want to see exactly what you're looking at. So one thing I'm going to want to do here is, in order to be interactive with all of this data, I'd like to create a filter up top so that I can sort the data from earliest to latest dates, or maybe in alphabetical order or a number order, depending on how much sponsorship money I received. So how can I achieve that? Well, I simply select the first row, and then all I do is I go to this symbol right here. This is the create filter. And now you see that what happened is I can select the filter icon and I can actually sort it A to Z. So from the earliest to the latest, or I can go in reverse order. I can also select company name by just the company name itself, and then I could see every single time that the company appears, and I could also do A to Z, so the smallest number to the largest number, or I can do it in reverse. Now, one other thing that I want to do here is I want to show you something cool that you could do with the numbers. So if you select all of the numbers, you'll see that we'll see a sum option right here. So Google is smart like that. So if I select this sum option, you're going to see that it tells you that there's 26 numbers. It tells you that the total value of all of these dollar amounts is $800,375. It shows you the average, the minimum we received, and the maximum we received. Speaking of minimum and maximum, something that I would like to do is I want to have it color coordinated so that I could see which one of these was a really great check and which one of these was one I was not too pleased with. Well, there's an easy way to do that. So all I do is I select this entire column right here of numbers. I'm then going to go over to Format, and I'm going to select Conditional Formatting. Now over here, you can set format rules. So you can say that, hey, if a number is greater than a certain value, then do a certain thing. However, what I want to do is I want to have a color scale. And what I could do is I could choose the colors I want. So I wanted it to go from green, yellow, red. We'll do the same thing that traffic lights do, right? So from green, yellow, red, and you could see it has the percentile as 50% here. I see a problem here though. The min value is the one that's becoming green and the red is the max value. That's not really what I want. So very simply, I could just switch the colors around here, and now it's going to show me exactly what I was hoping for. I want to quickly show you guys the drop-down feature because I think it's really helpful, and you might be wanting to use that on your next project. So check this out. I added another column here. It's titled Work Difficulty. And what I want to do is I want to make a note of how easy, manageable, or extremely difficult the work level was as far as the consulting work for each one of these clients. So what I can do here is I can go over to Insert and I could select drop down. And in this drop down, I'm going to input certain difficulty levels. So I'm going to say easy. And then for option 2, I'm going to say manageable. And then for option 3, I'm going to say extremely difficult. I'm also going to go ahead and customize the colors. So I'll make easy green, manageable, we'll stick to yellow, and we'll make it a maroonish color for extremely difficult. If you click on advanced options, you will actually see that there is options to have this chip, to just have the drop down arrow, or to just have plain text. I don't mind having this chip. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to select done. And then what I could do is I could apply using that smart fill feature at the bottom right of the cell, this little dot right here. By the way, to be a little bit more accurate, this right here is the fill handle. It's not necessarily the smart fill. We're going to talk about smart fill in just a moment. But getting back to drop downs, so I drag that all the way down while clicking it and dragging. And you'll see that now in every single section, I can actually choose what the level was of the individual that I was working with. This is going to be very helpful for you to sort your data and do so in a manner that's not only very professional, but also super helpful. I use these drop downs a lot. Okay, so now's a great time to discuss Smart Fill. So just to let you know, you do have like quick fill options. For instance, if you do Jan, Feb, Mar, something like that, I could select all 3 of them. Then I could grab this fill handle, and if I drag it down, it's going to fill in the rest for me. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. It's definitely even smarter than that. For instance, if I look at my calendar here and I go to January 1st, 4th, 7th, all I have to do is select these 3 once I type them in. And if I drag this out, you're going to see that it keeps the pattern 10, 13, 16. Smart Fill is a little bit cooler than that. So let me show you an example. Maybe I want to extract the first 3 letters of the company name. So all I have to do is I have to navigate here and start typing it in. We'll do TES, we'll do MID, we'll do OPE. And right here, the AI went ahead and it analyzed the data and it spotted a pattern. And it says, would you like to fill these cells using a formula, because it thinks that they have a really good formula suggestion. I'm looking at this and it's perfect. It's taking the first 3 letters of all of these. I'm going to say check, and then it fills it in. So what's awesome is that if we click any one of these cells here, we're going to be able to see the actual formula that was used. So we could see equals left, open parentheses, cell B7, and comma space 3. So the first 3 of B7. So this is the formula that it filled in. And this right here, this is your function bar. What it says right here next to FX, we're going to be using a lot of this in the future. And I'm going to be showcasing a lot of AI capabilities within Google Sheets as well. So stay tuned for that. I absolutely love that Google provides business owners and working professionals with free applications like this. In recent years, I've been moving over from Microsoft Excel to Google Sheets and just using Google as a one-stop shop for my business. It's been working out great. I love how I can visualize the data with Google Sheets. I love some of the more advanced topics that I'll get into in future videos. But if you enjoyed this video, I just want to say that Google Sheets, it can be boring. It's a spreadsheet. But if you put the time and effort into it and you really become a subject matter expert in that spreadsheet space, and you will start taking pride in your work. You're actually going to look forward to populating those cells with some intricate data that you have and then running some charts on it or trying to assess or gather some insights from the actual data. I promise you, it's going to get fun. So the videos that I'm going to pump out on the more intermediate and advanced topics in Google Sheets is probably going to be something that you enjoy. So definitely stick around for that. And if you've watched this video in its entirety, I certainly appreciate it. Make sure to leave a comment. Let me know which features of Google Sheets you wish for me to cover next. Also, if you have any questions on anything that I covered in this video, please feel free to mention it in the comment section. This channel is still a bit small, so I'm going to respond to every single comment that comes through on this channel because I'm learning alongside the rest of you. I'm sure I've made some silly error or I have omitted something or I could be doing something better. So please give me that feedback in the comment section and I will see all of you in the next video.